Welcome to Day 5 of 9th grade ELA. I will be walking you through our pre-work for Lesson 5. So today's objective, improving behavior, is students will be able to analyze elements of foreshadowing in a fiction short story. Before we start, it is important to know the definition of the literary device we'll be analyzing. So, what does foreshadowing mean? Foreshadowing is an author's use of hints or clues to suggest events that will occur later in the story. For example, a fortune teller might use foreshadowing, warning that a short lifeline is a sign of some impending disaster. Not all foreshadowing is obvious. Frequently, future events are merely hinted at through dialogue description or the attitudes and reactions of the characters. Therefore, you want to look for any unusual parts that could be hinting at the future. The following techniques and examples to find foreshadowing in a text are provided by an article made by Masterclass. Dialogue. You can use your character's dialogue to foreshadow future events or big reveals. This foreshadowing may take the form of a joke, an offhand comment, or even something unsaid that adds personality to your characters while planting the seed for later revelations. Title. The title of a novel or short story can be used to foreshadow major events in the story as well. For instance, Edgar Allan Poe's The Fall of the House of Usher foreshadows not just the destruction of the physical house, but the demise of an entire family. Setting. The choices you make about the setting or atmosphere of your story can foreshadow events as well. Character traits. A character's appearance, attire, or mannerisms can foreshadow that character's true essence or later actions. Think of character analysis like we did in our last lesson, because character analysis is helpful for finding character traits. Literary devices. Figurative language like similes and metaphors can be effective foreshadowing tools. Let's start reading. I want you to pause the video and read the entire part 2 of Lamb to the Slaughter on your own. It is easier to understand foreshadowing when you know how the story ends. So, as you read on your own, pay attention to unusual parts that could be hinting at the future like we talked about in the previous slide. For example, look for any hints the characters give in their dialogue, actions, or thoughts. Look for any hints the narrator gives in his descriptions. Okay, awesome, you're back. So let me go through an example of foreshadowing in the text. Then she washed her hands and ran upstairs to the bedroom. She sat down before the mirror, tidied her hair, touched up her lips and face. She tried to smile. It came out rather peculiar. She tried again. "Hello, Sam," she said brightly aloud. The voice sounded peculiar, too. "I want some potatoes, please, Sam. Yes, and I think a can of peas." That was better. Both the smile and the voice were coming out better now. She rehearsed it several times more. Then she ran downstairs, took her coat, went out the back door, down the garden, into the street. It wasn't 6 o'clock yet, and the lights were still on in the grocery shop. "Hello, Sam," she said brightly, smiling at the man behind the counter. "Why, good evening, Miss Maloney. How are you?" "I want some potatoes, please, Sam. Yes, and I think a can of peas." Let's pause here. Mary is acting weird here. She is rehearsing in front of a mirror before going to the grocery store. The repeated dialogue here tells me that her speech with Sam the grocer is going to be very important. So she repeats, "I want some potatoes, please, Sam. Yes, I think a can of peas," as well as "Hello, Sam," here and here. Okay, let's continue reading. "Which grocer?" one of the detectives asked. She told him, and he turned and whispered something to the other detective, who immediately went outside into the street. In 15 minutes he was back with a page of notes, and there was more whispering, and through her sobbing she heard a few of the whispered phrases. "I do quite normal, very cheerful, and wanted to give him a good supper. Peas, cheesecake, impossible that she—" As predicted, the conversation turned out to be important because the detectives asked Sam about how Mary was acting and whether he thinks Mary could be the one that killed her husband. Since she acted normal, he did not suspect her. So a quick recap of our previous knowledge. When we answer today's question, we must have a claim, evidence that proves our claim, and we must explain our evidence with our own thinking. So today's question: how does the author use foreshadowing in the text? Use quotes and details from the text to support your answer. So, an example of foreshadowing in Lamb to the Slaughter is when Mary is practicing in front of the mirror before going to the grocery store. This is our claim. Now the evidence. On page 1 it says, quote, "She tried a smile. It came out rather peculiar. She tried again. That was better. Both the smile and the voice were coming out better now. She rehearsed it several times more." And now our explanation of the evidence. This line foreshadows the alibi Mary creates by going to the grocery store and having a conversation with the grocer. This interaction is important because it shows the reader that Mary has no intention of confessing to the murder. Now that you know what foreshadowing is, you'll be able to find examples throughout the text. That's it for today's pre-work, but be prepared to talk about foreshadowing in class.